Every day, wild animals lose more of their habitat. We've failed at sharing the planet with these magnificent creatures, and we're at serious risk of losing them. On the front line, conservationists work tirelessly in dangerous conditions using extreme techniques. Driven by passion, ambition, and necessity, they persevere through triumph and tragedy, doing whatever it takes to restore the balance. This is saving the wild. Southern Africa. Its vast and varied terrain is changing. At the beginning of the 20th century, hundreds of thousands of rhinoceros roamed here. Their size and distinctive horns have earned them a place amongst the big 5 wildlife tourist attractions in southern Africa. Species of rhinoceros have roamed here for 50 million years, but their numbers are dwindling. After the last male northern white rhino died, aged 45 in 2018, there remain only 2 rhino subspecies in Africa, the southern white rhino and the critically endangered black rhino. Nkomazi Game Reserve is home to some amazing wildlife, but poachers have attacked. In a matter of weeks, poachers have reduced the rhino herd at Nkomazi Game Reserve to just 5. It is no longer safe. Unable to protect them, management of the reserve have reached out to conservationist group Elephants, Rhinos, People for help. Rushing an expert team of vets and animal transportation specialists to the scene, ERP have no choice but to get the remaining rhinos out of the area. It is a task requiring logistics, technology, medical expertise, and a lot of human hands.
Not for the elephants, for the elephants.
This is the normal Dan inject barrel looks like. Sorry, we'll use a pulse range.
It's like a 13 millimeter.
Yeah.
We'll
Use
use
a
your
pulse
hand.
range.
The family of rhinos are unaware that their home is unsafe and are easily located. Encouraging them to move out, however, is an entirely different matter. Despite weighing over a ton, these rhinos can move at speeds up to 55 kilometers per hour and must be tranquilized in order for the team to get close enough to capture them. Rhinoceros skin can grow over 5 centimeters thick and must be pierced by a tranquilizer dart head-on. Any angle on this shot could see the dart ricochet off, aggravating the rhino and leaving him untranquilized. Within minutes, the darts begin to take effect and the vets can make their approach. Once the condition of the rhino is checked and its eyes covered, a vet administers a reversal to the tranquilization. The dose is carefully measured to ensure that they remain calm but are still capable of walking. Each rhino must be carefully led and nudged into the specially designed transport containers. It can take a single poacher to kill one of these unique creatures, to butcher them for their horns, but it takes many humans to protect them.
Open up your pillar, Robert. Just push it away, eh? Away. As it gets up, push it away. We're going forward first. Sorry, back forward. Good. Bring it up, guys. Bring it up. Go on.
The helicopter locates and darts the remaining 2 rhinos. The trucks are standing by. The team may have arrived just in time for this young calf.
Leg numb.
Criminals make defenseless orphans out of rhino calves. The calf survived a bullet wound that entered the left shoulder and passed out the right, miraculously missing vital organs, and he was orphaned as a result of the poaching. This is the life of a rhino today, a 2-ton animal that needs 10 men to guide it while under anesthesia, completely reliant on conservationists for its safety. Misguidedly hunted for their horns, these once powerful animals are at the mercy of criminal gangs and of their patient rescuers, vulnerable in the expanding human world. It's a beautiful landscape, perfect for rhinos, but unfortunately it's not safe for them anymore. Relocation of rhinos to dino-ken. They are expanding the habitat and secure fencing around the game reserve at Dino-ken, which has not had the black rhino in the region for over 100 years. The population is declining in South Africa overall. There are 15 allocated black rhinos to Dino-ken. They have a target of increasing the habitat of the population of black rhinos to 3,000 hectares. This team is finalising fencing around new property in the expanded reserve, which has been assessed by conservationists as being suitable for the rhino, having appropriate vegetation, security, and can be made safe from poachers. The fence is now complete and the reserve awaits its new inhabitants. In this sanctuary, there are a number of black rhinos waiting to be relocated. They are being held in holding pens known as bomas. An experienced team begins the relocation process. Each rhino has to be sedated sufficiently to minimize stress in the confined crate used by the relocation truck. The bomars are back-to-back and in rows. Loose poles can be removed to facilitate easy transfer of the rhino into the transportation crates. A white flag on a pole is used to help guide the rhino through the opening, without placing rangers in danger of being crushed. Each rhino is given medical attention in their crate. Their vitals are checked, ears are blocked to muffle vehicle and transportation sounds, and extra sedation is provided to keep them calm. The crates are loaded and the rhinos are ready for their journey ahead. Part of the team has gone ahead to investigate suitable release locations so that the team don't encounter any unforeseen circumstances. There is always some risk in relocating large animals to safer reserves. To date, no rhino has been lost in the transportation process thanks to the experienced teams used in these operations. Just as in loading, the release process requires careful team management, as risk for getting hurt for both animal and human is high. Transportation holds risks. This rhino didn't make it unscathed from the crate and emerges with injuries. But help is standing by. The team inspects the rhino's injuries and applies an ointment which will heal the area. Each stage of rescue and relocation requires this utmost care. Tracking devices are attached to the rhino's ankles.
Yeah.
And finally, after another transportation exercise, this time when the rhinos wake, it will be in their new home, free of predation. At Dino Ken, a fence is down. An emergency team is being called. It is a suspected rhino breakout. The rhino is on the loose and unprotected, in danger from hunters and accidents. Every rhino that is introduced to the reserve is fitted with a radio collar. This simple technology provides a different frequency to identify each individual animal. The louder the beep, the closer the rhino. A helicopter has been deployed to help the search. Using tracking technology, the escaped rhino has been located. Medical staff are on their way. The team must act swiftly to locate an escaped rhino, as a stressed rhino in unfamiliar territory can act erratically and be a danger to itself. It is very bad news. In its panic, this rhino has slammed and wedged himself into a small grove of trees. He is barely breathing and in a critical state. The medical emergency is urgent, the working environment poor. An oxygen tube is inserted into one nostril. The team begin in their attempt to disentangle him from the trees. Antiseptic is applied to all his wounds, and he is watered down to cool him from the blistering heat. Lifting ropes are secured around all of his legs in readiness for a difficult maneuver.
Watch your back leg.
Nothing about this rescue is preferred practice, but they need to get the injured rhino to a fully equipped surgery. The 1,300-kilogram rhino is successfully lifted onto the truck platform, and the veterinary team accompanies him for medical treatment. The escaped rhino is taken back to the boma for closer monitoring and observations, until he is recovered enough to be returned to the reserve safely.
check voltage.
Now that the rhino has been rescued, a ranger has returned to ensure the fence has been restored and the reserve again is secure. As the rhino's natural living space diminishes, the species faces another insidious threat. Illegal hunting fueled by organised crime for the black market trade for their horn. A rhino's horn usually ends up in China and Vietnam as a bogus medicine or an ornament. The violence and desecration these creatures endure at the hands of poachers is heartbreaking. Conservationists faced heart-wrenching and confronting scenes on a daily basis. This is the brutality and gore the poachers leave in their wake. Cheetah is the sole survivor of a vicious poaching attack in the middle of the night. The 12-year-old bull had both his horns hacked off, leaving a gaping wound extending to his nasal cavities. When the police met with the despondent property owners, they were preparing to euthanize him. Affected by what they saw, the police contacted Saving the Survivors, a team of vets who treat wild animals that survive poaching injuries. After a life-saving surgery on his wounds, Cheetah was moved to a holding facility to recover. It was the first of many operations and the beginning of a long journey of healing. Cheetah will need medical attention for the rest of his life. Today, the wound will be cleaned and checked. The team needs at least 10 meters of strong nylon rope to guide the 1,300-kilogram animal. Immobilizing a rhino in an enclosure is not without its challenges. With his large size, Cheetah will need a team on standby to move or roll him while under sedation.
Okay, if we overexcite him before the anesthetic, it doesn't go smoothly. So if you can also stand back and I'll let you know when you can move in.
The brief sting of the tranquilizer dart is always a dangerous moment. Cheetah seems to be resisting the effects of the drug. Perhaps one of the reasons for Cheetah's continuing survival is his stubborn personality. Covering his eyes has a calming effect. It takes 7 adults to roll him on his side. Then he needs to be held up so he doesn't topple over. His microchip is checked as a standard procedure. Finally, he's injected with the antidote to the anesthesia. Definitely time to get out of the way before he wakes up. After a few months, the vets return. They decide the wound has healed enough so that Cheetah can safely be translocated from his small yard to a rhino sanctuary. It will be a secret location with 24/7 armed security. Once it's safe enough to get close, they'll guide him into the transport crate. Like most wild animals, rhinos don't like confined spaces. So to make this work, he'll be sedated again. It's a process he clearly doesn't like. This is not going according to plan. He's fallen into his drinking trough. This could spell disaster for an anaesthetised animal. It takes all the might of a large team to guide him to safety. He's in, but the hardest part isn't over. If anything goes wrong during the transportation, all this will have been in vain.
Ja, ik zie zo, maar ik ben heel slecht. Wat ik op.
Maar zo, we gaan gewoon even zo'n beetje.
Ja, is niet. Ja, ik wil je van.
Ja, het zal wel. Het zal wel, maar dat is niet om dit te trekken. Ik kan niet eigenlijk trekken. Ja.
seems a miracle that Siha survived the unspeakable cruelty done to him in the name of greed. But he will need ongoing medical care and some luck to lead a fulfilling life. It will be in a protected natural habitat where he may find some peace.
To help for, once the rhino is down and it's safe for you guys to approach.
As an anti-poaching tactic, many rhino populations are being dehorned by vets in the hope that it will increase their chances of survival.
Weerkat doen, soos altyd, dan het ons mos net 2 horings. Dit werk ons.
A large team has been gathered in order to dehorn the southern white rhino. A convoy of vets and conservationists head into the reserve. Here is a likely customer. Rhino horn consists mostly of keratin. Like hair and fingernails, the horn grows continuously. The rhino's horn has started to grow back, which means he's a target for poachers again. Clear terrain is chosen to prevent narcotized animals running into obstacles. How many men does it take to change a white rhino? More than 2, it seems.
Yes. Okay, well, let me scoop them. Maak die saakkie. Let's go net en dan begin want hy wil slaap.
This big fella is not going down.
Steps, carry circle. Right on. Let's do it in a sharp circle.
Rhinos weigh up to 1,300 kilograms, so it's essential that a team of at least 6 people are on standby to move or roll the immobilized animal.
shift.
Finally, he's down. But before the work can begin, the feet need to be carefully placed to stop him toppling over during the treatment.
Okay, push that side. Push back. Okay, more.
Reserve workers have arrived to help with the dehorning.
So go between the those.
Horn obtained from dehorned rhinos must be photographed, measured, microchipped, and details of the horn submitted to nature conservation authorities. The front horn is marked about 8 centimeters from the base.
39. That is E1. Ja. I'm giving it torsional 22 meter. So students noted the 40 milligrams. It's a 10-to-1 ratio. Roy, the red dehorning marks out.
The ears are blocked to prevent damage from the noise of the saw. In a reserve with limited security, the horn will need a trim every 12 months, removing what the poachers want. A 6-inch grinder trims off the extra horn and rounds off the stump. They apply an antibacterial wound spray that contains an antiseptic to prevent an infection and insect repellent.
Desperate. Okay, what's your time?
The antidote to anesthesia is administered.
2.5 minutes. Sit the pressure.
Luckily, that's a highway.
Poaching is pervasive wherever rhinos are, and now there's less risk that this one will be butchered. Rhinos are darted